in South Africa. According to the South African Institute of Race Relations, white South Africans have a higher quality of life than their black counterparts. And the Quality of Life report also shows that Gauteng and the Western Cape provinces have a significantly higher quality of life than the rural provinces. We now have this report from Collen Lemawane.
Alexander, a township that resonates with the struggle against oppression. Like the rest of the country, many of the residents here have experienced discrimination. Under apartheid laws, no African was supposed to earn the same salary as their white counterpart, even if they were doing the same work or working the same hours. Africans were not allowed to buy land or own property anywhere in the Republic. Since the end of apartheid, little has changed.
The white people in this country have started off from 1994 from a very well-resourced base, so there should be no surprises here. We've had Job Preservation Act, which continues to show its legacy through the recent report of the Employment Equity. We've had dispossessions. This is why even today black people continue not to have land, and the list goes on. So I really don't think we should be surprised. This is really just a reflection of the fact that South Africa was colonized and was brutalized by apartheid and colonialism.
Limpopo and the Eastern Cape have the worst quality of life with scores of 5.0. Other provinces had higher unemployment rates than the national average.
80% of state schools either did not have the necessary funds, the necessary facilities or resources, or the adequate staff to provide proper education to mostly black children who attend these state schools.
Since 1994, there's been little or no change for some black people. Some still live in squalor conditions. According to the Quality of Life Index report, black people have little or no access to basic services such as water, sanitation or waste removal.
As a country, all of us should be ashamed that we have that kind of a situation. And this is why even on broad-based BEE, there should be no confusion. Broad-based BEE should not be a strategy of poverty alleviation. We must have very clear poverty alleviation programs in this country.
Some black Africans still have low literacy levels and don't have access to decent jobs like their white counterparts.
I've graduated in Matric 2014 and so far I've been doing nothing up until now, 2017.
Although public schools still lack proper facilities, some youth have access to good quality education at private schools. But this doesn't make life easy for the black families that earn low income and struggle to get opportunities. However, some say their lives have improved.
It has, in a sense. But like, my life is not the only one that should be improved. That's what I feel. Other people's lives should also be improved. And I don't think it's fair. Like, one individual's life should not be improved while everyone else is falling, basically.
Just across Alex is Centum, the business hub of South Africa where the elite thrive. The place signifies a life of luxury and well-off citizens who have made it in life. A stark contrast of poverty and dejection just across the highway.
If you go not far away from here to Alexander, you will see Alexander is an outcome of Sandton. Sandton has all the privileges, the protection, the wealth as a consequence of excluding Alexander. And Alexander comes to Sandton to serve Sandton.
According to the Quality of Life report, white South Africans still have considerably higher quality of life than coloureds, Indians and Africans. The white population comes out with a score of 8.1 out of a range of 10. Black South Africans scored 5.2 out of 10. A group of young people concede that whites have a better life than blacks, but they feel something needs to be done to address poverty and inequality.
Some people in the black community don't have the money or the education to further themselves, and white people, we do have the history of being able to afford education and all of that. So white privilege was a thing of the past. And I don't think it's something that's happening anymore.
I think black people our age aren't suffering as badly as the older generations. And but I would say that job opportunities for both races, or all races rather, in South Africa are struggling. I mean, I've actually got friends that are unemployed. They don't have any jobs, black and white, and everybody's struggling. And I think we all just need to focus on being equal, because we've got the BBBEEE thing going on as well. And that's obviously trying to work towards black people getting more jobs and stuff like that. Because in my opinion, they are suffering a lot more than us white people, because like she said, we do have history to our advantage.
The Quality of Life report says more urbanized provinces demonstrate a significantly higher quality of life than rural ones. This unfortunately conceals the fact that the black middle class has emerged and shares in much of the quality of life enjoyed by white South Africans.
The black middle class, sometimes it's overrated. These people are actually, most of them are still employees that are one paycheck away from poverty. This is a group that is highly indebted, as it were. So, and it's got a very high spending power. They've got good incomes, but they've got no balance sheet.
However, life has glaringly improved for some black South Africans. They live in suburban areas and have access to a good life and opportunities. Some black elites are able to clinch well-paying jobs in the inner city. According to the report, inequalities within the broader black population don't receive sufficient policy attention.
The majority, which are excluded, the majority that must wake up at 3 a.m. to get into a train, to get into a bus, to come to Sandton, to serve white privilege. That's how white privilege works. This enclave, this corridor, is a corridor of black people. It's a corridor where we can see how small it is, where we can afford to live, because white privilege makes sure that we have starvation wages.
We call upon corporates to play game and make sure that they integrate, they include black people in particular into the mainstream economy.
The challenge for the state is to expand the opportunities, not just for those who have, but for those who don't have. And one of the ways that you can help the poor is encourage artisanships, apprenticeships, try to encourage the private sector to create more internship opportunities.
Analysts say the current policy of radical economic transformation, if implemented adequately, may translate into improving the lives of ordinary South Africans so that they can experience a better life like their white counterparts. But the country has a long way to go.
Now, let's